Hello and welcome in another video from painting the board game The Witcher Old World. Today we're gonna paint the Nekkers nest. As you can see, I use as the reference card the graphic from the Nekkers nest card from the game. The mini is based on the steppe terrain and is mainly in the yellow tones. I primed the mini first in the cows black from Citadel, and then I put the grey primer on the top of it from the 45-degree angle. As you can see, I forgot to remove the excessive amount of plastic before I prime, so unfortunately I had to do it afterwards and put another layer of primer after that. So if you do in your minis, please make sure you will remove those excess plastic before you prime them. Save your time. Now our mini is primed and we're gonna start with some basic colors. For the start we're gonna use the XP88 from Citadel, and we're gonna cover the whole body of our monster, our Nekker. It's in a kind of yellowy tone, and that color would be perfect as a base coat. Just make sure your paint have the right consistency. You don't want any recesses drawn in the thick paint. We want them all visible once we finish the painting. Also, it's quite important to cover every single bits of his body, but you don't have to be so neat. If the brush go over any other areas, it will be, you can easily cover them later on with a different color. Next we're gonna switch to Mornfang Brown to paint the wee piece of timber on the base, and we're gonna also use this color mixed with the Rhinox hide to paint his skirt or whatever that is, whatever he's wearing it. I'm mixing pretty equal parts of the two brown tones, just to have a bit darker tone initially, so we could do a bit of highlighting later on. So 50-50 mix of those two colors I mentioned earlier on, and then we cover the whole skirt of our Nekker. Next we're gonna switch to ivory from Vallejo, and we're gonna use this paint to paint his eyes, his teeth, and bones and skulls on the base. At this time on the face I would try to be precise, not to go over it, but don't worry if you do. You can easily back to XV88 and cover the areas that you stain with the ivory color. Again, moving back to the base, if you paint in the bones and the skull at this time, I wouldn't be too much worried about precision. Just cover the whole lot, the bones, the skulls, and then when we'll be doing the color for the base, we could cover the excess paint in there. Once that's done, we're gonna paint with the Armageddon dunes. I choose this paint because it has a kind of like a sandy texture, and I want to build a bit of a height of the sand in the areas that I'm showing you now. I want to create the impression of the hole that the Nekker came out of. So as we build in the Nekkers nest, we will put an extra piece of that sandy texture paint under him, so we could create a bit more deep hole effect under the Mini. As you can see, that paint, it has a kind of sand pieces in it, so make sure you use your old brush. You don't want to ruin your fine brushes for that purpose. Once we build up the wee sandy heights around the Mini, I cover the whole part of the base to give that kind of sandy effect all over the place. So this is how our Mini looks so far with all the base colors. I do a bit of a correction on the base, on the bones, on the base, but it's not necessary if you don't want to do it. You know, the sand could go all over the place and could cover them as well. So it's really up to you if you want to do that an extra step. Now time for some shading, and I'm using Seraphim Sepia for the whole figure. So I'm painting the whole Mini, including the skirt, the whole body, just not to put too much on his teeth and eyes. as we gonna use a different wash later on for that. Next we get in the Agrax Earthshade, and we're gonna cover the whole base of the Mini. As I mentioned earlier on, I'm using Agrax Earthshade as well to put an extra contrast on his teeth and his eyes. When you're doing the eyes holes, just do not overload with the wash. We want a bit of that ivory color coming through. As you can see, I did put a bit too much, so then you can dry your brush and remove the excessive paint. Also, I'm using the Noon Oil, the black, pure black wash, just to cover the hole under the Mini. Now time for some highlighting with the ivory. So once your shading paint dries off, we can do a bit of highlighting with the ivory on the bones and the skull. Make sure you add an extra drop of water to thin the paint. You don't want the paint to be too thick, so we'll just put a thin layer of that ivory coat on the bones, just to bring them a bit more up in contrast. Also at this point I will highlight his teeth, his mouth. I will do a puncture touch of the brush, individual dots, just to make that filling of the teeth coming out of his mouth. It doesn't have to be too neat, it doesn't have to be too straight. It's a monster, don't forget. So do as the best you can get, but don't be too much precise on it. We also paint the eyes at this point as well. Next we do a bit of a highlighting on his body. First I would do the pure XV88. After we put our shading, the body get a bit darkened, so we put a thin coat of that paint in all over his body again, except the recesses when we want the shading remain. our next tone, we're gonna use the Xantri dust mixed with the XV88, and again we're gonna put the thin coat, so we're mixing pretty much 50-50 of those colors, and our further steps will be the pure Xantri dust, and finally we're gonna switch to our brightest tone when we're gonna mix the Xantri dust with a bit of ivory. So at this point we mix it 50-50 of those two paints, and we're doing thin coat of the areas of the beanie that are exposed to the light, so mainly the top and the side part of our model, and make sure you're trying to blend those two colors nicely on the mini. And again, at this point we need a bit of a precision here, so try to not paint the recesses with this color, and trying to have a good control of the brush at this stage. Now I'm switching to pure Xantri dust, and again trying to do a very thin layer of this paint on the areas exposed to the light, which is the top and front part of his body. And again, if you do in the back, just paint the top part of the muscle. I'm not gonna do any of that underneath. can also use the clean wet brush just to do a bit of a nice blending of them two colors on the edges. Next we move into our brightest highlight tone, and we mix in the ivory with the Zandri dust. Again, make sure you add an extra bit of water just to tint that paint. We don't want that paint to be too thick, and we covering only the top part of the mini, the ones that those parts that would be highly exposed to the light source. So this is how our Nekker looks so far. Now we're gonna do a bit of highlighting on his skirt. So we moving back to our Mount Fung Brown, and this time we're not gonna mix it with the rhino's hide. We're gonna use this pure color, pure brown color on the wee skirt that he's wearing. And again, we put him on the edges. Do not cover with this paint any recesses. We want them to be dark brown. For our brighter tone, we'd add a little bit of XV88 to our brown, and then we'll do the further highlights with this tone. And finally, for our brightest tone, we add a little bit of Troll's Layer Orange, and we do only the edges of his skirt, and the tiny touch on the timber on the base as well. And finally, few touches with the pure orange on the edge of the skirt. Next, I will be mixing medium with the Seraphim Sepia shade, and we're gonna put a very thin coat of those of that wash with medium all over the Nekkers body and skirt, again just to have a bit nicer blend of the colors we put earlier on. Thinning the paint with medium will reduce the amount of pigment in it, and again will give you an extra time to remove the excess of the wash from the exposed areas. As you can see, you can use the wet clean paint just to remove the extra wash of it. So this is how the mini looks so far, and now we're gonna do a bit of a dry brushing on the base just to highlight that sandy effect we created with the Armageddon dunes. So do a bit of a dry brushing all over the sandy part, except the hole under the necker. We want that to remain pure black. We want that dark hole that he came from. And again, for the areas that it has to reach, you might use your old brushes. You don't have to stick to the dry brushing brush. Next part, we're gonna paint the rim of the mini with the German black. I think it looks best. It's not pure black, but again it's very dark, so it doesn't come off when you put it on the board. Now we add few finishing touches. We're gonna add some grass. I use few different colors just to have that step effect. It's not gonna be pure yellow. I think if you add few different shades of grass, it will bring that nice effect. And I use the PVA glue to mount them into the base. And just to finish it off, I will put a few drops of the blood. Again, it's a ready mix from Citadel, but I don't want to stain the necker itself. I will just do a few drops on the base, leading to the entry to the Nekkers nest, and that will create nice effect of let's say dragging the victim into the nest. So this is it. This is the final product. This is the final version of my Nekkers nest. I hope you like it, and I hope you enjoy watching this video. If so, please don't forget to subscribe my channel and give the thumb up, and I hope to see you soon on my next project. Take care, have a good day, and see you soon.